Hello and welcome to another semester of Cyclone InCYders. I'm Ben Olson, your new host, replacing the graduated Zach Williamson. Joined at the desk by Michael Murrell and Alan Chatfield, making his first appearance on ISU TV. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, Ben. How are you?
Doing well.
A little nervous, but you know what? Ready to rock and roll.
Hey, we'll get rid of those nerves.
Hey.
So a lot has happened since the last month when we had our Cyclone InCYders. So let's say we jump right into it, guys. Iowa State men's basketball has had a busy last week. They're currently ranked number 23rd in the nation at 18-6, 7-4 in the Big 12, and they were announced as one of the NCAA committee's top 16 teams, which means they would have gotten a 4 seed. And then, of course, Saturday came. Got ran out of the gym by TCU, 92-83 at Hilton, after winning 6 of their last 7. Guys, start with you, Michael. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it wasn't a great game for Iowa State for sure. The defense was atrocious, 92 points. It's not going to get it done. I think we were talking about 53% from the field for TCU. For a home game, that's just not what it is. I mean, you talk every year when Iowa State, the goal coming, especially over the last couple of weeks with the struggles of Kansas, was to win the Big 12 title. To do that, you got to win your games at home, and that they didn't get it done. With that said, they're still in it, for that Big 12 title, but the defense was not great. I think it's more of a product of a young team, a very deep Big 12 than anything. Young team came out thinking they were going to roll over a TCU team that isn't having their best year, and fortunately they just came out flat.
What about you, Alan? What did you think of the team?
I just got to say, defense is bad, okay?
Yeah.
You let 92 points go in Hilton. That's just too much. 92 points will beat pretty much anybody, and that's what happened to us. We got put 92 points on us, and we got beat. The good news is, though, on offense, we put up 83 points. 83 points is a really good number, and we'll beat also most of the other teams, kind of like a 92 will. But just wasn't enough to get the job done, and you can't let that happen at TCU, or can't let that happen at Hilton Coliseum by TCU, because if you go on the road to Kansas State or somebody big like that, you can really struggle.
No, I completely agree with you guys. And the thing about the Big 12 is, the league seems to be up for grabs this year, but you got to be consistent and you got to win at home. And we know it's you got to have endurance to win this league, and so we don't like to see slip-ups this out of our team. But
especially this late.
Yeah. But let's jump into individual players. Is there anybody so far in the season since we last talked who's impressed you guys so far, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed in recent weeks by Linda Wigginton, just in that he was struggling all year. You've seen him in the past couple of weeks. He's really starting to seem to be finding his game a little bit. He had a couple games where he put up 29. He's still inconsistent, and you've seen that throughout the team. I think that's encouraging because for this team, a lot of people are getting excited about potential deep tournament run come March. If he can get right, and he's shown some flashes the past couple of weeks, I think that's something to really look for as the year goes on. And then at the other point guard spot, Tyrese Halliburton has just had a fantastic year.
Right. I really agree with the Tyrese point you made there. And I would like to see Coach Prohm start to use him a little more, because I think whenever he's involved with the offense, good things start to happen. And for me also, I think Nick Weiler-Babb is having a fantastic season. His shooting has improved greatly, and he's improved by leaps and bounds since we first saw him his junior year. And I think he's going to end up, as we move down the road, him as well as Shayak are going to be key players to how well they play is going to result in how well we play as a team. Alan, you got anything to add?
I do not know my players that well. I just like to watch the game.
That's right. Well, they're playing pretty good as a team, so we can hope that keeps turning out like that. So the Cyclones got a bye week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They don't play again until Saturday, but it's going to be a big one at Kansas State, number 18 in the nation, who Kansas State beat them in Hilton. So it would be really nice if they can steal this one back from K-State. How do you think that's going to go? What do they need to do, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge game. Big 12 title implications. Really, if Iowa State loses this weekend, it's really hard to see a path to the Big 12 title. You're 3 games back at Kansas State. They have the tiebreaker over you. It's just really hard to see a path. You win this game, you're 1 game back at Kansas State. You split 2 games. There isn't a tiebreaker situation there for the head-to-heads. So that's a huge game for Big 12 title implications. And really, it's a game they should have won in Hilton a few weeks back against Kansas State.
Right.
They had a 4-point lead with 2 minutes left. Game with the ball, game just got away from them at the end. But in regards to this game, how to win, the defense has to get better. We talked about with TCU, and the reality is this team has the weapons to play fantastic defense. Murrell was a defensive stud for Virginia just 2 years ago. I mean, he was their best defender on the best defensive team in the nation. And Nick Weiler-Babb, Murrell, Tyrese Halliburton, they're all long, athletic. Cameron Lard, it's long, athletic guys that are all capable of playing elite defense. They just need to have the determination to do it when they're out there on the floor.
I agree. I'm really hoping Prom and Shayok can get these guys, these freshmen especially, to buy back into the defense. Alan, you got any score predictions? How you think the game's going to go Saturday?
Score predictions. I think we can actually win it. You know, if we focus on our defense this week in practice and they get better on defense and come out and play good defense and just keep doing what they're doing on the offensive side, shooting high percentages, but also they can't go dry. If they have a dry spell for a few minutes, I think that could put them in trouble. But if they don't have any dry spells, I think they will have a chance to pull out a big upset and win.
That's a really good point. You look at that, it was like 22-2 run against TCU that we we were dry and they were hot. And so we really can't allow that, especially on the road. I think the only reason K-State's first in this league is because of that one they stole from us at Hilton. So I think Iowa State's going to come out ready to play in this one, and I think it's one that they can snag back, which will be huge for winning our Big 12 regular season title chances. Murrell, how do you think that's going to play out? Do we still have a chance? Is K-State going to run away with it after this game? Is Kansas still in there?
Okay, so Kansas is still in there. I think Kansas, Kansas State, and Texas Tech are all 8-4 right now. And then Kansas State's got, I think, just 2 losses. There's still plenty of opportunities for Iowa State. You know, a lot of their tough games are out. They have both their Kansas games off their schedule. Their Texas Tech road games off their schedule. After this week, it'll be Kansas State off their schedule. All of their tough teams are pretty much off their schedule right now, on their path. But you need to win this one. You're one back against Kansas State, which still has a game against Kansas. You have, and so you need to take care of your business. There's no reason this team can't win out and win the Big 12 still. But that's what's going to take now. You need to win out the rest of the way. And it all starts this weekend. And this is going to be a tough matchup. Bruce Weber is going to always has his team very disciplined. They're going to play tough defense. So you just got to be ready for the challenge this weekend against Kansas State.
I agree. I think if we can win out, we have a really good chance to win the regular season Big 12. But we're also going to need a little help from K-State falling apart here at the end, more than just this loss.
Yeah, I think the big thing also with this team is it's a missed opportunity for sure for Iowa State to win the Big 12 title this year. I mean, you look at the Baylor game earlier in the year on the road, had plenty of opportunities to win that game. The Kansas State game, when Linda Wingington misses a free throw right before they go and take the lead in the last few seconds. I mean, just giving games away. Prom didn't use a timeout after that. I mean, there was all sorts of little things that happened in the Kansas State game. You know, the Kansas game on the road, I mean, it's a tough game, but they had chances to win that one. Had a tie game with 2 minutes left. You know, and then obviously the TCU game, that's a must-win game. TCU's not a great team. You had them at home. All 4 losses this year, you look at them, it's like, man, Iowa State probably let that one get away. And so it's definitely something where I think fans are going to look back at this year and just going to be frustrated, especially if Kansas ends up coming back and winning the Big 12 again.
Yeah.
Where it's like this one got away.
That will hurt. But, you know, I think Coach Prom has always been a guy who coaches for the tournament. He's more about tournament wins than he is about winning regular season titles. And so if him teaching our players some lessons during the season is going to result in a longer postseason run, that's okay with me, and we're going to go ahead and trust him. And, you know, speaking of a coach who knows some tournament play, let's jump into women's basketball. Those girls have been on fire lately, won 4 of their last 5, with their only loss being to the #1 team in the nation. Currently ranked 18th, and they were also listed by the Women's Committee as one of the top 16 seeds so far this, top 16 teams so far this season. Bridget Carlton's is on the Wooden Award watch list. And so coming up, you know, they travel to Fort Worth. They're going to play TCU tomorrow night.
Let's get some payback.
Who's impressed you guys for the Cyclones so far this season on the women's team? Michael?
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious answer is Bridget Carlton, but Bridget Carlton's been doing this for years, you know, and that's not to negate what she's doing. She's the best player on the team, one of the best players in the nation. Honestly, she's reaching a point where she's one of the best women's basketball players that's ever come to Iowa State. That's the level that she is at this point. But who's impressed this season, you know, the separation for Iowa State this year, I think we were talking about this, isn't what Bridget Carlton's doing. It's what her supporting cast has been doing, specifically Ashley Jones, you know, 5-star recruit coming in this year, freshman. You know, you're seeing her regularly putting up 20, 25 points, you know, on multiple games, 4 or 5 threes in games. I mean, what she's brought to this team as just a second weapon next to her, and it's not just, you know, her, there are other players too, but what Ashley Jones has brought as that, and it's also really exciting for the future. Madison Wise is a sophomore, Kristen Scott's a sophomore, Ashley Jones is a freshman. You know, even with Bridget Carlton being a senior this year, Bill Finley's got something really special going on, and Ashley Jones is a really huge part of that.
I agree. The role players have really stepped up this year, and I think left an opportunity for Bridget Carlton to really leave her legacy at Iowa State with this team. And I think you touched on everybody. Kristen Scott is shooting an insane 48% from 3 this year. We could go down the list naming people. But I also want to touch on this team's play, not only in Hilton, but everywhere. I know last year they had a losing record in Hilton Coliseum for the first time in roughly 10 years. So they made it a vow to step up. And right now they're averaging 96.7 points per game in Hilton Coliseum. Alan, what do you think? Has the offense been more impressive for this women's team this year, or do you think their defense is what's really winning the games?
Putting up 96% averages for offense, that has to be pretty darn impressive. You don't see too many teams doing that. And they put triple digit on other teams, too. I've seen them, like the Texas Tech game, I think they did 107 on them.
Yep.
But they also kept Texas Tech down to like 66. So the defense is also amazing right now. But I got to say right now, the offense, right there with those high scores, you'll beat anybody.
I'm going to agree with you. I think this team can really shoot the lights out, and they just know how to use it to their advantage. What are your thoughts on their play so far this year, and are they going to be able to continue that through the rest of their schedule?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they can't continue this. I mean, I think Bill Finley deserves a ton of credit. Part of, I think, building a team, at a smaller program like Iowa State, you see Matt Campbell do this a lot, you have to find players that fit your system really well. That's a really important thing. And Finley's done that. Finley wants his teams to shoot threes, and he wants them to shoot a lot of them. Even when they don't have three-point shooters, Iowa State women's basketball teams, they shoot from the outside quite a bit. That's just what he does. That's his offense. And Kristen Scott from the 5 is shooting at a 48% clip. Alexa Middleton is one of their lower 3-point % shooters right now, and she was transferred in as a 3-point shooter. Madison Wise shoots some threes. Bridget Carlton is, we've talked plenty about her. Ashley Jones has been lining up at 132 threes this year. I mean,
shooting 39%.
39%, yes. And this team they will shoot, and they will keep shooting even when they're cold. They're just going to keep shooting. That's Bill Finley, and he brought in a bunch of players that can all do that and can fit his system. They can spread the floor, and that's why you see games where they're putting up 100 points. And they aren't doing it against exhibition games in the beginning of the season. They're doing this in January and February, Big 12 play. That's the most impressive part. And we talked about that loss to Baylor. I mean, Baylor's a team that normally beats people by 30 points every night, and
they're number one team.
Out, 30, 40 points to everyone. Home, road, doesn't matter. They went into Baylor, and I think they were down 2 at halftime, and they only lost by 14.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, but that's a great performance at Baylor. I think they play them at home here in a couple weeks here.
They do. And
that's a game to really watch because this team plays so well at home that I think they could really, that'd be a big-time win for Bill Finley's program, especially with him building to the future.
I completely agree. We just talked about how much they score at Hilton and how they kind of vowed to defend Hilton this year. So they're beating teams by an average of 19 points. And that's incredible, this late into the season, to still have that big of an average after all this Big 12 play.
Yeah.
So with one more big matchup against Baylor, I think Baylor's probably going to run away with the conference, but there's no doubt this team could finish second in the Big 12 conference this year.
No doubt.
I'm not sure if they play Texas again, but if you look at that matchup against Baylor, that's going to really allow them to get more experience against a team that's been there, and I think that's really going to prove helpful for them as they head into the tournament.
Yeah.
That's all we've got for this segment. We're going to have a few messages, but when we come back, we're going to jump into some Iowa State wrestling, who's really hot right now, as well as Iowa State gymnastics. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Cyclone InCYders. Welcome back to Cyclone InCYders. We're going to jump into some Iowa State wrestling now, where we get to talk about Iowa State's winter sport team, who is actually ranked the highest, sort of back to the way it used to be, right, guys?
Yeah.
So the men's wrestling team is now ranked number 11 in the nation after defeating Oregon State on Monday night. 10-2 this year, 6-1 in conference, with their only losses coming to the number 2 and the number 3 teams in the nation, Iowa and Oklahoma State. So after Monday night's wrestling match, who this whole season has kind of impressed you guys? Alan, you want to start?
I'll have to say Danny Bush. He's the wrestler for 184 pounds, and you know what? 14-6 overall. 6 losses. That ain't bad. 14 wins. That's good. But he leads the team with 6 pins.
Yeah.
And that gets you points in a wrestling match.
That's right.
Pins and technical falls. So he helps the team out big time, getting the points.
Yeah, I mean, the team in general is having a really good year. I mean, David Carr's 18-1 at 157 pounds, but I think the truly impressive stat is the fact that 10-2, but who their 2 losses are to. I mean, in wrestling right now, you know, the 3 best schools are by far and away the best schools. It's Iowa, Oklahoma State, and Penn State, and no one else is close. And your only 2 losses are to 2 of those 3 teams.
That's
you know?
right.
And when you talk about rebuilding a program that was in a really bad spot just 2 years ago, you know, wasn't ranked, a program that historically was in those top 2 or 3 teams in the nation every year, year in, year out. And so it wasn't a good spot. And now just 2 years, this team is already back to where people are talking about how this team could make some noise down in the NCAAs this year, you know, and so they're having just a really incredible year. And it's just, I think it's really exciting for the fans for wrestling just to be back to where it is, because, you know, there's a lot of pride in that Iowa State wrestling program. Just with its history, you know, the Iowa State, you know, were regularly the 2 best teams in the nation, and so for them to be back at that point, I think it's just a really encouraging thing.
Yeah, I think you made some really good points. This is their highest ranking since the 2011-12 season when they finished 11th. And, you know, they were also 12th in the last 3 Kevin Jackson years there. But for Kevin Dresser to get this team back in 3 years to where it is pretty impressive. And these are kind of starting to be his guys. And you're starting to see some consistency across, you know, the board. Ian Parker's 10-2. Like we talked about, David Carr 18-1. Danny Bush was 14-6. Jarrett Deegan's 8-1 this year. So, you know, he's starting to get his guys, and they're actually starting to wrestle hard for their coach. Yeah. Alan, what do you think? Would you say Iowa State wrestling is back?
It's back, baby.
That's right. That's what I like to hear.
We're going to be here to stay.
Yeah.
Hey, let's roll into another ranked Iowa State sport, gymnastics, currently ranked number 23 in the nation. And their last meet, they posted their season high, 196.7 against West Virginia, where they had 5 of the 6 healthy freshmen all perform in that meet. They've got 9 freshmen this year. That's the biggest in Jay Ronane's tenure. And 5 of those freshmen in that last West Virginia meet scored 9.8 or higher, which is really great production out of a freshman. What are you guys' thoughts on this freshman class this year? And Michael, what do you think that means for the future of Iowa State gymnastics?
Yeah, I mean, this was expected to be a down year for gymnastics.
That's
a lot of seniors last year. It was going to be a rebuilding year. You're going to have a lot of young players. It was expected. So for them to even be in the conversation rankings and putting up anywhere close to these type of numbers for the future is incredibly encouraging. 5 freshmen putting up those type of numbers is great for the future, because gymnastics, unlike other sports, probably more so than other sports, build year in, year out.
That's right.
You just see a lot more progression as opposed to maybe other sports where you don't see that as much. Gymnastics, it's expected to where these freshmen are going to just continue to get better, really build a program. And when you lose all the seniors you lost last year, for them to already be back where you could potentially see them, you know, go to regionals, maybe even make the nationals with some people, to be at that level with 5 freshmen competing in your meets, like that's unheard of, really, for a program of this size. And so I think that's really encouraging.
Yeah, I think Coach Ronane and his staff deserve a lot of credit for, you know, preparing these girls for the big lights and getting them to perform as well as they are, because it's a huge transition your freshman year. I also think that Megan Sievers and, you know, like Sydney Converse is finally healthy. So they have some seniors. It might be a small class, but they're doing a really good job of leading this team and, you know, helping them balance the highs and lows of what is college gymnastics. Let's touch on, you know, just a few other sports. I also want to say, though, we were going to talk about this. The 4 sports we just talked about for Iowa State, all ranked. It is a fantastic time for Iowa State athletics right now. I mean, Alan, you got any thoughts on that?
Dude, that's just great. 4 teams ranked, and then you get teams in the fall ranked also. If you can just keep this up, you can become a really good sports school and just keep on having good seasons over and over again. And you know what? I'll take 4 ranked teams any day.
I agree. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, I think this is a really encouraging time. It's just like a part of Iowa State to just look at the athletics department right now. I mean, what Jamie Pollard has done
I was just gonna say,
as an athletic director is just incredible. I mean, this is historically a terrible football school, and Matt Campbell has this program as one of the most upcoming programs in the nation right now with what he's done over the last 4 years. And Steve Prohm replacing Fred Hoiberg. Basketball program hasn't missed a beat. You know, Jamie Pollard, you know, it's really easy as an athletic director would come in. When you come in and the coach starts struggling, to, you know, get rid of that coach and bring in your own guy. Bill Finley's last couple years, his team were kind of struggling, but Jamie Pollard said, you know what, I'm going to put my faith in Bill Finley. He's been here a long time, and now that's being paid off. Bill Finley's putting out one of his best teams he's ever had. And, you know, you're seeing that gymnastics, you know, has a coach that's able to do that. Kevin Dresser bringing in as the wrestling coach, and he's got this program in just 2 years coming back. What Jamie Pollard has done, just bringing in the right people or keeping the right person in place to just build programs, not just that. I mean, that's not even talking about what cross country's done over the past couple of years, what the track and field team's doing. The swim team's been doing well. I mean, it's across the board, up and down. Every team seems to be doing better and better every year. Even the soccer program, which has struggled the past couple of years, made some progress towards the end of the season. You saw a little bit of flash towards the end of the year despite injuries. I mean, Jamie Pollard has this whole athletic department running so smoothly. They're getting great facilities. I mean, it's a really encouraging time just for the overall athletic department. And you saw that in the rankings this week.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Michael. I mean, time and time again, Jamie Pollard has proven to hire great people in the right position for the right program. And he's just built one of the most exciting times for Iowa State athletics, so he just deserves a lot of credit.
I'm just hoping he can keep them here and keep them coming back season after season.
Yeah.
That's right. We hope Matt Campbell can set the precedent for that, too. I like the way that's going.
I would love to have Matt Campbell here for years to come.
That's right. Just a few more sports going on at Iowa State. The softball team had their opening tournament this weekend with a tough slate of games where they played the #1 team in the nation, Florida State, only losing by 1 point. So positive start for them, even though, it was away from home against some difficult teams. The Iowa State women's golf team was down in Puerto Rico where they took 9th place in the Lady Puerto Rico Classic, but they finished with their best score of the day today at 290, so they saw great progress over the weekend. The Iowa State track and field team held the Iowa State Classic at Lead Rec this season, where the distance proved that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. Edwin Kurgat had a great meet.
Yep. School record in that meet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Iowa State men's golf is going to tee off for the first time this weekend, so we'll have more for you next week on Cyclone InCYders about that. Otherwise, I think that's all we have, guys.
Awesome.
I want to thank you for tuning in. Be back here next Tuesday night. We'll have some more updates on you. And as always, go Cyclones.